It's like I'm walking on sunshine.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to DoomCast. My name is Charlie McGrath. I am one of the founders of DoomCast. The other one is Doug Owen, and he's sitting right next to me here. I'm stealing your line, Doug. He's sitting right next to me here, and we're going to roll into DoomCast number 39. Welcome, everybody who's listening in maybe the Wide Awake News chat room. Doug and I can't figure that out yet for sure. The folks in there are hanging out on rents, or if they're over here. Maybe it's time for... Oh, wait, never mind. I'm not going to talk about it.
It's beyond me. I don't know.
Yeah, it's beyond me, too. We're not going to talk about that. We'll handle that.
No
issue.
small talk. Straight to business, Charlie McGrath. How is the new world order treating you?
It's all business, man. We're just going straight to we're cutting to the chase.
No, tonight, one of the monikers is taking a lighter side or looking at the lighter side of impending doom. Yeah. Lots of impending doom. So it's going to be quite a challenge to live up to the motto.
Yeah, well, we can, because it's, you and I, we can look at things such as racism and make a joke out of it. We can talk about kids stabbing other kids and make a joke out of it. So, the Ukrainian situation, which is de-escalating, if that's even a word, it's spiraling out of control. We're absolutely going to make light of that topic. I have some economic statistics to talk to you about tonight.
Y'all. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, man. Listen, Doug, you know what? I don't know what you
buy
feel.
Buy or sell, bull or bear?
Oh, I don't know. I've been wrong before.
Invest in war, 2014. Remember what I said, kids. 2014.
It
was invest in evil.
Invest in evil. That was it. I remember that, you sick bastard.
I'm telling you, I should be on one of those, economic shows.
These wanted posters. Yeah, I agree. What?
Make money, invest in evil.
Invest in evil. Yeah, that would be actually a really... Invest in evil, DoomCast. I don't want it.
I've got some invest in evil stories today for sure.
Yeah, good. I'm excited to get going. I want to thank the folks who donated this week. You guys are going to get your name, or at least your initials, and the amount, and maybe where you live, all talked about here. I want to thank those guys and gals who stepped up and helped keep this thing commercial-free. We greatly appreciate it. This is my favorite hour of the week that is not spent with my son, Doug Owen.
That's pretty impressive.
Wait a minute. What about you, man?
It's right up there for sure.
But I just said you're number one. I'm up there? I'm right up there?
You're in the top five. Top five of my week.
It's not like I had a headache already, but now I have a headache, and now I have anxiety on top of my headache.
It's right there below going to the dentist. Right there.
Below it?
Right below. I love the dentist.
Well, then you would love my day. Can I tell you about my day?
Sure.
Or do we have to jump right into
No,
the headline?
I want a little small talk, just a little bit.
Small talk's what we're about, Owen. And I want to,
the art of conversations, it's died on arrival.
Yeah. I had a wonderful, wonderful conversation, speaking of the art of conversation, with my doctor, my second doctor I saw today. And, oh, my God, he's going to be a guest on Wide Awake News Radio or maybe even the DoomCast in the future. But he is an awake doctor who is a fantastic specialist in what he does. And I am so lucky to have found him. And just real quickly, in case people wondering, I have a degenerative disc, something or other, in my neck. And, yeah, it's bad. It's bad news bears. And it just absolutely keeps me in constant misery for the last month. It's been bad, but the last week has been atrocious. So come Tuesday, they're going to jab some needles into my neck and fill me full of goo.
Getting a little lube job, huh?
Getting a little lubey lubricant.
Nice.
So that's how the end of the day finished. That was right up until 5 o'clock. And this is a doctor.
This is at the VA. Is this part of the documentary you're doing?
No. This is not part of the documentary I'm working on.
Okay.
The VA experience. Although, for those of you who have followed that video and are waiting for the follow-up one, it's coming because we are farther along in the process than I thought we would be at this time. And I'm going to have some really, really important information to share with veterans who are looking to deal with bureaucracy. And it's going to be completely inside baseball. when it comes to dealing and how to effectively deal with the VA. So I'm excited. But the problem, Owen, is this: it's going to be July. It's going to be late July, early August before I can put this together. And there's obvious reasons why that I can't do it until then. But it's going to be.
What are those obvious reasons? I should see. Obviously, just the time constraint.
No, it isn't the time constraint. It's the result constraint. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to put something out that I can't prove from that first heartfelt video that I put out till the end of a claims process. I'm not going to put anything out that's going to jeopardize that. And maybe I'm being paranoid, but I really do believe that if I came out right now and said, "Hey guys, this is what you have to do: take this, with forms A, B, C, and Z, and go ahead and file it this way to this agency, blah blah blah." If I did that, it could come back and bite me before the project is complete. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. You don't want it to be easily dismissed because you just don't have
because it failed. Yeah, that's exactly right. I don't want to fail. I'm going to succeed, and then I'm going to make it known to all the world. Because once I succeed, then that's it. That's the end of the game. I want to share that knowledge with my fellow veterans out there. But anyway, so this doctor's not a VA doctor, very much awake, and the only reason it came up is because I happen to be wearing a Wide Awake News T-shirt, and he goes, "Well, what's that all about?" And so we got into that a little bit.
What did you tell him? Did you tell him it was? No,
I did. Blow your socks off, Doc, if you head on over there. No, I told him it was a political, independent political website, news aggregate website that I own and I operate, and I do a lot of videos and programs on there. And I wasn't going to get any more to it with him because this gentleman's going to be shoving a 9-inch needle through the front of my neck into the back of my neck. Come next Tuesday, and so
I hate libertarians. Oh my God, I hate people that think outside the box. Just stabbing you in the neck.
I slipped, and then you got yourself a quadriplegic for life. But he went down the road. He started into Obamacare, and I'm like, sugar. He's going to be, most doctors that I've talked to on this topic, and unfortunately, I talked to a lot of doctors. Are just, they're Sean Hannity. They're Sean Hannity in a smock. And it bugs me because I know they're smarter than that because they're doctors. They're freaking doctors. But they still are just buying the Kool-Aid, drinking the Kool-Aid. So,
buying the propaganda, drinking the Kool-Aid.
Exactly. But not old Dr. Good Guy that I saw today. He started talking about things, and it was pretty obvious that he was in more of a libertarian mindset. And so, honest to God, this is not a lie. Now, Doug, you've been to the doctor recently with the birth of your beautiful son.
Yes.
So you understand. I'm sure you've been to the doctor. People listening have been to the doctor. Your average time, right? If you spend 10 minutes in the waiting room, and then you spend, I don't know, 20 minutes with the doctor. Maybe if you're lucky. If you're lucky, maybe 45 minutes. He's going to sit there and talk to you.
Right.
Dr. Good Guy, I sat in the waiting room for 40 minutes, and I was getting annoyed. But when he got me to the office and we started chit-chatting about Wide Awake News, I was there for 3 hours talking.
3 hours, wow.
3 freaking hours.
So this guy was just desperate to talk to somebody else. He was looking for another human that was thinking.
Why does it have to be like that?
No,
why
not
does
like
it have
that.
to be why do I have to have something good? You gotta say, oh.
No, I'm just saying that he probably has to talk to so many brain dead people, and he finally found one guy that knows what's going on, that actually gives a crap about something that's not completely apolitical. Somebody that's speaking his language.
Well, now that you spin it that way,
I mean, 3 hours. That's a long time to talk to somebody.
It was 3 hours, and the most of it was him caring. And he told me, he goes, it's in a big medical complex, and most of the practices, all of them except for his, have been bought up by this big corporate hospital chain, and that own now the building he's in. But he won't sell his practice. He's a holdout, and he's freaking awesome. I love Dr. Good Guy.
Sounds like a good guy.
It was a good guy. Quickly to end this doctor experience, my day started with wisdom tooth number 3.
Number 3. Extracted?
Extraction. 8 a.m.
Why didn't you just do them all at one time?
All right. So it's like we're going to get into it. I guess I'm going to tell you. All right. So here's the deal.
It just seems easier.
I'm cheap.
That's what I did.
I'm cheap.
Did all 4 one time. They put me out. I woke up and I was like, I'm ready for candy.
Give me candy. All right. Well, here's the deal. The reason I don't do that is because I love my dentist because he's another Dr. Good guy. And, over the course of years, I've said to him, hey, you want to, pull out these wisdom teeth for me? And he's like, no, they want to send you to an oral surgeon now. Well, guess what? That's expensive as all hell.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're thousands of dollars to have your teeth out. It's ridiculous. So over the course of getting to know him and befriending him, he has agreed to pull them out as they become loose. So if they develop a cavity or loose, he yanks them out. So
what is that to put it on the insurance or something?
No, it's $180. I just hand him the money. Bam, there you go, Doc. Thank you. $180.
It's
really?
Not too bad, I guess.
No, that's crazy cheap. I mean, I'd have to have Bubba knock him out with a crowbar to get cheaper than that.
Oh man, dentistry.
Bubba, that's what you look like.
Brush your teeth, kids. Yeah, you don't want to look like Bubba, so brush your teeth, or you're going to spend a lot of money, like I am.
Did you? Are you spending a lot of money on dentistry?
Oh yeah.
Why? You got nice teeth, Doug.
I had to get to I grind my teeth at night, especially with stress. Now I have a really cool. It's called you can buy it anywhere. It's called the Sleep Right. I highly recommend it if you're a teeth grinding person like myself. Go out, buy one. I think they're $15-$16. Very comfortable. One of the problems I had was that. So anyway, there was just 2 of them, the 2 big molars down there.
No. What is the thing? What is the Sleep Right?
It's called the Sleep Right. It's a thing that you put in your mouth, and it has 2 plastic bases, and it's BPA free, and it basically keeps your mouth open, and so it's kind of like a wedge, if you will. It's kind of, I mean, you can Google it and check it out, but it's basically kind of like a tooth guard, just like you would have in football, but the front of it's really thin. And they actually have those that are very similar to the ones that you use during wrestling and the like to help you protect your teeth during at night. But the full round over the tooth experience really leads you to it's like your teeth are sweating at night. I know that sounds weird, but that's what it feels like. Your gums are sweating, and I would end up spitting those things out. Hence why I would just grind my teeth. Most of it was stress related to the military. That's where I really started sleeping at night.
PTSD in it.
Yeah. So I mean, no big deal. Top teeth are great, but just 2 of them down there kind of got broken. And once they were broken, they got to the point where they were really sensitive, and you need root canals, and those are at a
those
good
are expensive.
$750 a pop. Get you a couple caps. Those are if you want a nice one. You want some?
Yeah, they're more than that, brother.
They're like 12. So no, that's just $750 for the root canal.
Yeah.
Then,
okay.
They want $1,200, somewhere in that range. If you have cash money, you're willing to try to talk a deal out, which I didn't have the cash money to do it because it was really expensive. Sorry, just don't have the means. So I was able to negotiate part cash, and my roots are so deep and so jagged that they really were right on the cusp of
the bone,
pushing me to go to an oral surgeon, which, as you know, costs lots.
That's
why people fly to Chile. That's why people fly out of the country to go get dentistry done, because it's just so absurdly priced.
And it's going to get worse, folks. And I'm not trying to be doomy.
I mean, we're one of the few countries that gives a crap how our teeth look. I mean, if you go over to Europe, it's just not a big deal because it's not part of the national healthcare system.
Right.
It's something you have to pay for out of pocket. And you see that here. I mean, at some point.
You want to know where you see that bad?
Where's that?
Old China. Take a trip outside in China there.
Not a lot of teeth there?
There's a lot. They're just really weird-looking teeth. I mean, they're...
Like what?
Like...
You're going to go Donald Sterling on me?
No, I'm not. But we can get into that. But no, they're just horrific. They're black. They're... I guess I am going Donald Sterling on you. They're black, and some of them are lighter shades of black, but they're, none of them are welcome. Wham! See what I did there?
Yeah.
That's what Donald Sterling did.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do want to talk about Donald Sterling because I think it's.
What
important.
do you think of that? Wait, Donald Sterling. For those that don't know, I mean, this is the NBA owner.
Yeah, this is a thing just in the U.S. for all of our international listeners. We probably should provide a little bit of background. All
right, you want me to? Mm-hmm. He's an NBA owner that is dating. I think it's commonly. I don't. Blasian. I know she's not black and Asian. She's black and Latina. Which, oh my God. Like, I'm not trying to be racist here, but those are the most beautiful women on earth. But I have a propensity to like really? Latin women. So,
I didn't know this about you, Charlie.
Doomer Carla. Doomer Carla. She's Latin.
Really?
Absolutely.
I didn't know that.
Which makes no sense because I'm whiter. I'm whiter than a Craig Simpson Doomer video baked potato with sour cream. That's how white I am.
Yeah.
But so anyway, this NBA owner, Sterling, which, come on, man, this is made for prime time, Sterling. He's dating himself a half black, half Latina, I think, but she's absolutely stunningly gorgeous and about 1/100th of the age of him, I think. Just incredibly.
26 years old.
Yeah, and how old is he? $1 million?
He's 80.
Yeah,
he's a billionaire. Yeah, I mean,
right.
he owns.
But it's love.
Well, he bought the LA Clippers back in '81 for right at $12 million. He's being forced because of his comments, his loose lips, and this woman was recording him. According to her, that
have you heard his comments? Oh, what a tool!
Yeah, well, I mean, this is something that's happened on several occasions. He's become pretty well known as a bigot, and he is one. He's a slumlord. He is $1 billion slumlord. He has a 26-year-old girlfriend that decided to
smoking hot
to go after him, and because they were suing her, I think, for $1 million worth of jewelry she had. Nonetheless, I mean, the guy's comments, basically, he was embarrassed because she was bringing all these black guys to the L.A. Clippers games that she was having sex with. Oh, yeah, and so it was insulting to him. I think it's pretty interesting because he was actually born Donald Tokowitz, and he changed his name to Donald Sterling. He's an attorney, but somebody who is...
Tokowitz, huh?
Well, he was Tokowitz, right?
Yeah,
and
you know what that means, right?
He was a little Jewy, and he didn't like his name because he didn't want people to think of him as a Jew. So just think about this for a moment. This is one of the takeaways you're not going to hear anywhere else. He was already very worried about his own image, and he was pretty much persecuted for being Jewish at that time. Back in 1961. It was very hard to become a lawyer because there was a lot of anti-Semitism. Some of you might think that, rightly so. Don't trust him. But, that nonetheless, he himself changed his name because he was embarrassed of who he really was.
Yeah.
So he's somebody who is all about impressions. Okay, he changed his name to sound less Jewish, and when it came to her making him look embarrassed, he saw that as the impression that people are getting. And of course, I think the funny thing is that we jump completely from the morality of this 80-year-old man having sex with a 26-year-old. That's A-okay. And all of the other indiscretions nobody cares about, but all of a sudden he says that he doesn't want her to bring her black friends, quote unquote, to the game. Specifically, maybe he was talking about certain friends, but I'm not here to, and I will not defend some rich billionaire that.
I'll defend him. Why not? Somebody's got it.
But okay, you can. But I mean, think about this. Okay, he's the longest running tenured NBA owner. Okay, he bought it and. The magic number here is present at 33 seasons of ownership since 1981. Now he's banned for life. So
Club 33.
He is a part of the Club 33. And
so if I defend him, do you think he'll be like our benefactor?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't think there's. Here's the deal. There's no losing because his franchise, this team is worth at least $575 million. That's baseline. That's what Forbes says. And with all of the hype. But it's going to be interesting to see because did he get pushed out? I think there might be a bigger backstory to it. And I think that's a lot of what most of our listeners will want to see is who ends up being the benefactor? Who ends up buying this team? Did they push
that's
this
interesting.
guy out?
That's interesting because I think it was a corporation that Magic Johnson is either the head of or the figurehead of, that I read is willing to offer $1 billion.
An investment group that owns. I don't know if they own the Lakers, but they own the Dodgers.
Yeah,
they bought it from the scumbag Dodgers owner. So
they said $1 billion. We'll give him $1 billion. He's got to get out, and so that's interesting. So.
Well, I mean, and people are saying, well, what about free speech? And, one of the things that we do is that rather than going to corporate sponsors, rather than going to people that we can sell listeners to, and that's really what it is. When you hear commercial advertising, you're the product. You're being sold to some commercial interest. Your time, your energy, all of that is being deferred to some sponsor. Yeah. And one of the things that people like Donald Sterling here and the NBA look at is the bottom line. He's hurting their money. He is, regardless of all of the other things that happen, at the end of the day, he is liable for taking profits away from the NBA owners. You start having, all of the tragedy pimps, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, and the like, boycotting, getting all of the African-American players, which dominate the league, pissed off, all of those other things. You can lay at his feet and say, well, because of your comments, because of your indiscretions, and because you have loose lips with your hooker prostitute, you are bringing our value down.
Wait a minute. Is she a hooker?
Absolutely. Well, she's not having sex with him because of love, obviously.
Oh, no. But no. I'm not saying that.
Look, even the dog agrees with me that she's a hooker. The dog is like, yes, Charlie.
She's a hooker, apparently.
Is she not? Is she not? She said she's a self-described sugar baby.
Yeah, all right. Well, I mean, she is something, right? I mean, he's actually
the sugar daddy. She's the sugar baby.
She's going for the sugar daddy, but go ahead. How can I argue with that? She's literally giving it up for millions of dollars.
She doesn't have sex with an 80-year-old guy because she just has some weird fetish. Absolutely not.
Imagine that scene.
So, I mean, the bottom dollar is he's costing them money. The NBA has a constitution, part of which is secret, which I just kind of find funny.
Yeah,
but
after 33 years, the secret constitution is going to be...
And this is the thing. The worst thing that can happen to him for his indiscretions and for his, bad choice of words is, he's going to make, almost upwards of $1 billion somewhere along the way.
Just his reputation maybe, but come on, he's a billionaire for life, right?
Well, what's left of his life? Okay, you got $1 billion. I think you're gonna ride out the next, possibly. I mean, even with life extension technology, maybe 30 years? He's 80 years old. Let's say he makes it to 110. Realistically, he's not going to make it much past 100. If you've looked at him, probably not going to happen.
He'll be dead in 5 years. Come on.
It could be worse. UK party leader was arrested for quoting Churchill on Islam. You heard about this, right? Winston Churchill quotes getting you arrested. And this
I did, but before we jump onto that, though, can I comment on old guy?
Oh, yeah, Sterling. Or no,
Sterling.
Let's call him by his name, Tokowitz.
The Jewy guy.
Yes.
Yeah. So here's the deal. The story to me, because I said I was going to defend him. He's a bigot, right? He's racist, right? And he probably has been.
The NAACP loves him, though. Did you hear about that, though?
No.
I hate to redirect, but he gave. I was looking at his wiki actually. He gave like $1 million or $50 million to these different endowments for all sorts of support for the black community. He pays his coach and his players millions of dollars. So I mean, how bad can you really hate black people if you own a franchise that is dominated by black people working with?
Well, you can hate somebody if they're making you money. You
can. Yeah.
Obviously, he's going to tolerate, and that's obviously by his own actions and his own words. What he has done. But
people have sex with people that they find inferior all the time, so we cannot say that he's having sex with this black Latina girl that makes him not racist or a bigot, because That's what I've heard. I'm like, that's not. Really
okay, because his girlfriend is of color. Come on,
yeah,
really?
I mean, she's
ridiculous.
She's multicultural, ethnic.
Yeah, so that makes him not racist. Nah, that argument's out the window. But right. This is what I do think, Doug, is playing out here. I find it interesting that this guy who's been a scumbag probably his whole adult life, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm more than sure that there's plenty of crap on this guy, plenty of recordings, plenty of emails.
He's a lawyer. Okay, that's all we have to say about that.
Yeah, that could condemn him for his personal beliefs, right? The people around him, they knew what he was all about, right? So, and you talked a little bit about free speech, whatever. But I don't know if he has that.
That's overrated. Getting your free
I don't
speech
think it
zone,
applies.
slave.
I just don't think it applies there. It's like
he's not going to jail. I mean, it's not. We're not there yet, though. I'm sure some people would like that, but we're not quite in the UK
yet. Yeah.
Yes.
But let me surmise this, and we'll move on because we really dumped a lot of time into this story. But look, we talked about the Bundy sitch last week, where he's a racist, right? And now we have another old white guy who's a racist. And on the other converse side, you have the Republican Party showing up at the NRA dinner and giving the speech about Second Amendment, First Amendment, Fourth Amendment, going to protect it, going to take the country back, and ginning up the base in order to gin up the vote come the 2014 soon-to-be midterm elections. I really do believe this guy, this rich white guy, is being sensationalized only for one reason, and that's to gin up some hate and to gin up some anger so that we can energize the parties. And it just goes back to the things that you and I have talked about before, and what I've always clung to, which is nothing gets into the media and gets run with or whatever, blows up into a big deal unless it serves a purpose. It's to distract, it's to divide, it's to conquer, it's there for a reason. This could have happened 1,000 times over the last 10 years, and guess what? It probably did.
I was about to say it has. I mean, this guy is notoriously a bigot, and only now does it become something that's intolerable.
Yeah, because it's 2014. We got an election coming up, and we need the whiteys to be hating the black guys. We need that. We need that right now, because if we don't, we can't divide the country up and get them all pissed off at one another. And guess what? They might get mad at us. The establishment, right. The powers that be. I mean, that is what's going on here with this. At least I believe. I believe he's a scumbag, and I believe he said what he said because I heard him.
Right, and he hasn't said otherwise.
Right, and he's he's a piece of crap, and he's arrogant. He's a snob. He's a
rich Jewish billionaire.
Ooh, you almost forgot the ish. Rich.
I mean, it's pretty indefensible. Not that he's Jewish. I'm just joking about that. But, because people always say, well, they control the world. I'm like, well, let
me tell you what happened in the video I put out.
This guy obviously is not one of the anointed. He is being dethroned.
Why? He might be anointed. He might be just being on the play.
But even on his worst day, even when you lose, he's winning. And that's why it's like, well, this poor guy. It's like he on his worst day is going to have more money than I will probably ever accumulate telling people the truth and being brutally honest.
Oh, my God. You know why I love you, Doug Owen? You know why I love you?
Why is that?
Because you threw the word probably in there, which means that there's a chance that you could be a billionaire, and I want you to know how much I love you when you become a billionaire.
Right. Don't forget the little people out there. That's what everybody says. I won't forget you.
Yeah, good. I'm happy about that.
Yeah,
so the division will continue. We will definitely see the divide and conquer rhetoric come up and keep rearing its ugly head.
Well, we're going to talk about the Ukraine. Well, let's just talk about the propaganda outlet that you're going to be part of. Have you heard that you're part of the Bullhorn? Did you know that you're part of the Bullhorn? Here we go. This is from
the propaganda Bullhorn, that is the state-sponsored Russia Today program, has been deployed to promote. Actually,
you're being deployed, Charlie McGrath. Right. Just to let you know, here we go.
Russia Today network has deployed to promote President Putin's fantasy about what is playing out on the ground. They almost spend full time devoted to this effort to propagandize and to distort what is happening or not happening.
All right, so you can guarantee that John Kerry's cronies are going to be watching you tonight on RT.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're part of the 24-hour-a-day bullhorn to quote, I think, or to paraphrase what John Kerry just said.
Bullhorn?
You're part of the Putin fantasy. You're a Putinist. This is part of the Putin nanny, and you are affiliated with DoomCast. We're going to be rounded up and put in a camp, people.
Sorry, man. Sorry, you're going. Craig's going.
I'm telling you.
Bad deal,
you know what? This is the good thing. There's going to be a lot of really cool people at the FEMA camps. We're going to have a lot of great conversation. We're going to learn a lot about prepping and eating.
I'm not going to be there with you, brother. I'm going to rescue you from one. How about that? So, listen, here's the deal.
I'll scream Wolverine when you come. Wolverine.
Do me a favor. Will you send me I know you got that queued up there. Will you send me that link in via Skype here? And
we'll put it at DoomCast.com as well.
Yeah, I want to, but I also want to listen to the whole entire thing before I go on the propaganda network.
This is just the 30-second clip of John Kerry.
That's perfect. 30 seconds are a lot of words I can quote. Here's the deal. Two things. One, I think it's time to do another DoomCast plug, right, on the Propagandist Network.
Ooh, how are you going to work that in?
Well, I do not know at this
because
point.
all the spooks are going to be listening to DoomCast, and I'll be like, hey, this isn't half bad. I don't know what the hell it is, but I'm all about it.
Now, I know how I'm going to do it because I know the topic. And should we do this again? Because I got the topic.
Yeah, ask me the questions, and I'll pretend that I am you.
Let me see if I got a question yet here. Let's see.
It's worked out well last time.
It did. I just don't know.
You know what's funny? I got a lot of great emails from people that were really, I think, touched by how, I guess, removed from the bias and the rhetoric that we were with the Clive and Bundy situation. I mean, really? A lot of people really thought that was a fresh perspective. That's what we try to do. I've got a lot of Ukraine stuff, too, while you're fumbling there.
No, I'm sorry, man. I try to do it softly. It's not a bad mic. It's not.
I just hear that.
Yeah, and I can't get the clicker. I yelled at my kid to get me a water because I'm dehydrated and my head's pounding.
And you've got a hole in your mouth. Don't give yourself a dry socket.
I got a hole in my mouth and I'm in misery, but I'm gonna.
You're part of the propaganda bullhorn.
The bullhorn. I got to get my bullhorn on because it's time. It's time in less than an hour. But the tonight's interview. Let me. Oh man, I'm trying to read this here. Nah, I'll be good, is what I said. I told her I was.
I'll be good, lady. It's all good. I got stuff to say.
This is the story we are discussing tonight, which is ironic, right?
Which is disgusting, I bet. No,
stop dogging RT. I'm going to get you on there, Owen.
No, I'm not dogging RT. I thought. Why
not?
You said disgusting. You were just misspeaking.
Oh, gotcha. All right. Would you be interested to open a discussion on this new development in the fate of Voice of America? It's especially interesting because the U.S. has always been known for the gold standard of American journalism, and a media is now basically turning into an official point of view translator. Would you be interested in discussing this at 11:30 p.m. East? As we usually do. And then she sent me the article that we're going to be discussing about, and it's a new bill requires the Voice of America to toe the party line. And I don't know if you've seen this yet or not, because I think it's a fairly fresh
Well, I always
story.
thought that they were just the mouthpiece of America, part of the CIA propaganda war. Isn't that not true? I mean, I would think it's the counterpart to the Voice of Russia, VOR. And I post stuff from
what's a counterpoint to RT? I mean, to me, this is why RT's putting the story out, right? RT's going to. You got John. When did John Kerry
I wouldn't say this, but this is just this week. I mean, this is big news, and they've got other clips there. I sent you that link. Jen Psaki being mean to the RT reporters, basically saying that what they were, these things, hey, John Brennan's on the ground, and that's the exact time that they decided.
Oh, I know. I'm going to bring it up. I know. I'm going to say DoomCast now.
Oh,
you said that. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I tease that so I can hear it later.
Yeah, I will.
We'll stay up till 3 in the morning.
No, I'm going to say. It's coincidental that you called me up for this interview because my co-founder of DoomCast, Doug Owen, brought this John Kerry clip to my attention, and that'll segue me into talking about John Kerry calling everybody, myself included, a mouthpiece or a bullhorn
I would just go to the history. I mean, just the mainline history of the Voice of America. In and of itself, rather, it is rather telling. I mean, it's the voice of America. It's the voice of the State Department. So it's going to be pro-democracy, pushing whatever quote unquote the proverbial democratic ideas.
But it's
and
never
thoughts
been. It's always been established, or at least referred to as.
So is this a new law? They've just changed Voice of America that
the new legislation tweaks the language of the Voice of America's mission to explicitly outline the organization's role in supporting U.S. public diplomacy and the policies of the United States government.
Uh-huh.
A move that would settle a long-running dispute within the federal government about whether VOA should function as a neutral news organization rather than a messaging tool for Washington, D.C.
Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty. Okay, this is another one of those. Has the piece. 2 lawmakers in the U.S. Have helped prepare a bill which would clarify the mandate of the Voice of America and reorganize other U.S. government-funded radio stations. The chairman of the House Foreign Relations Affairs Committee introduced this. So who's Ed Royce? California Republican. Royce said government-funded radio stations are in need of broad reforms. Quote, U.S. international broadcast must be effective. What's the effect that they're trying to push forward? See, the bill calls for clarifying the mission of Voice of America so that VOA works in support of U.S. public diplomacy. I think what happens is they've been giving money to a lot of these different groups, and some of the stuff that they've seen on there is probably not necessarily a good, effective propaganda. I mean, that's really what they want. In 1976, U.S. President Gerald Ford signed into law a slight change in VOA's mandate that emphasized the organization's mission as an accurate, objective, and comprehensive source of news as opposed to a propaganda outlet. So I guess they just want to make sure that this is effective, being a propaganda outlet. So I would refer to what Gerald Ford did and how that has worked against the interests of the state.
What? And this sucks because either I dropped or you dropped. I think I dropped.
Oh, no. I was reading the most important part. Basically, since 1976, Gerald Ford signed a law that made VOA's mandate, they had to be accurate and objective and comprehensive. And they couldn't be just a... What's that?
What's it called? The Gerald Ford bill?
Ooh, let's see. Signed a law, slight change.
Gerald Ford, 1976. I'm going to use
VOA's mandate. Let's see. He changed the VOA mandate in 1976.
VOA to be accurate?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, okay.
All right, so we're doing some homework for the Bullhorn, the anti-American Putin fantasy.
We are. Yeah, we are. And we're going to mention Doug Owen. We're going to mention DoomCast. All this great information.
They're going to totally put us on the map.
I'm going to shine a spotlight.
Yeah.
At least, and maybe we'll get some of that.
Here's something from Voice of America. Let's see if this is accurate. This came out 8 hours ago, and there we go. Let's see what the VOA is all about. Is this just a slideshow? Oh, I thought it was some audio. Never mind. Ukraine's acting president says Kyiv government has effectively lost control over the situation of eastern Luhansk and Donetsk regions. We might as well just transition into Ukraine because that's where VOA is not being very effective, and people are starting to jump off of the bandwagon. The IMF to the rescue. Have you heard? $17 billion slated for Ukraine. So they now have austerity. That's the doubling of the gas prices, and what Dmitry Medvedev said would lead ultimately to a new revolution, another color revolution. Vladimir Putin this week said, and I agree, that this is a U.S. staged color revolution. I guess, being more candid now that it's no longer the G8, they're calling it the G7. But there's some big things that are transpiring. The U.S. boots on the ground, ZBIGNIEW BRZEZINSKI chiming in, saying that we need to arm and give weaponry to the Ukrainians. So last week we were talking about boots on the ground. You, in one of your videos at DoomCast.com, some of the great exclusive content you can find there. Mentioned World War III. Let's see. So I wanted to mention a couple points. I had some bullet points here for what's happening. Number one, you have all this money going to this group. It's a seized coup. I mean, think about this. Look at what's happening in Egypt. You have mass trials, 686 people in a mass trial now being sentenced to a mass execution. This is just right after, on the cusp of getting some new military contracts with Russia. I think if you want to be critical of Russia, look at what they're doing now, and there's some big developments in expanding weaponry, which I just think that, ultimately the U.S. and Russia are both these huge weapons exporters, and all the solutions seem to be, well, we just need to give more and more and more and more weapons and just create, more and more death, or the ability. I mean, some people would argue, I guess, that giving everybody a gun keeps everything fair, and I guess that's true, but we're giving a lot of people that, like the Egyptian military, the new military junta there, lots of money. And that's what we have in the Ukraine. I wanted to point that out. This is a recently toppled government, call it whatever you will, and we're giving them $17 billion to buy military weaponry. Mind you, ZBIGNIEW BRZEZINSKI is the guy that supported and funded and gave weapons to Al-Qaeda. So if there's anybody we should not listen to, it is the delusions of ZBIGNIEW BRZEZINSKI. But he does bring up some interesting points about the European Union and the Eurasian Union and the border buffer that I think accurately Russia, Putin, is trying to create. But there's this other big, huge backstory, and I don't know if anybody's heard about this, but Putin, the Ukrainian government has been used to funnel weapons to Syrian rebels. This is huge. This is a big German newspaper, Der Spiegel, that has reported this, and it smacks and reeks of Benghazi.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely, it does.
Yeah, so there's some weird things that are starting to come out.
Yeah, it's proxy. It's proxy meets puppet master, and we've been talking about Ukraine for quite some time, but I do remember conducting the 2 interviews ago about the Geneva agreement that came out between Russia and the U.S. And I remember distinctly saying, in fact, I attached it to that World War III is here video because I think it's relevant, because I'd said in that interview, and I said on DoomCast, that it's complete garbage. There is no resolution. There is no peace coming inside of Ukraine because it's been designed to be a goat you-know-what. And that's exactly what it is. And you talk about funneling arms to Syria. You talk about proxy players, or I talked about proxy players. We can't forget that this whole Ukrainian deal, Doug, and this is, I'm going to give you my opinion on it, and I want to know what you think. This government, like the Ukraine government, it's a bunch of thugs, number one, neo-Nazi thugs, right, that have been put into power directly with the help of Mr. and Mrs. America Apple Pie's checkbook. Yeah, we've spent $5 billion in 60-plus programs in order to topple that regime, that government. And now we, just like we had seen in Libya, just like we've seen in Syria, just like we've seen in destabilized countries around the world, we always back who the hell ever will step up and say, yeah, we love you, America. Give us a bunch of high technology weapons and money. And it doesn't matter if we're Al-Qaeda, like in the case of Syria. It doesn't matter if we're going to bite you in the hiney a year or two down the road. We just step up and do it because that enemy, that future enemy, that's money that can be made then. But right now, it'll help us achieve our goals, which in the case of Ukraine was topple that government.
Right.
Your thoughts? Am I way off base there, do you think?
No. Absolutely. I mean, the U.S. was instrumental. I mean, having John Brennan, having Joe Biden, having John McCain, having George Clooney, having everyone go there and legitimize the coup d'etat, Ban Ki-moon. All of the big players, Victoria Nuland, or Noodleman, she has a name that she didn't like either.
Right.
We played the clip here on DoomCast of her talking about, fuck the EU, number one. That's what everybody said. Oh, yeah, big deal.
Sorry, man. You just caught me off guard. Go ahead.
Yeah, and, she caught us all off guard with such rude words from such a nice lady.
That's right, Noodlemeyer.
Noodleman basically laid out what was happening and how the U.S. was being strategic and instrumental. They have to have the might. They have to have the world. It's not just the U.S. I mean, the U.S. was at the head of it, but you have to have the international
it's the West.
consensus. Yeah. And so they financialized every aspect of it. They went to the corporate players. They went to Chevron. They looked at what had to happen. Then they brought the proselytizer, Joe Biden, to say, look, we just need to frack the hell out of Ukraine. We have the money, the investment, the infrastructure. With that, we've already done the estimates. We've already looked to the IMF. And they're a bank. Just like when you go – I mean, I don't know if there's as much scrutiny with getting billions of dollars from the IMF as there is if you'd like to buy a home. But basically, they look at the paperwork. They look at the profit potential. They look at the contracts. They look at everything before they decide, well, I think you can afford this $18 billion noose that we're going to give you. So it's been financialized, which is the scariest aspect of it all, and that is that at some point no longer does policy or even politicking matter. It's that so much money is riding on it, so much investment in the infrastructure, all these things that time and time again do not, and we've seen this over and over again with World Bank and IMF and other institutional loans, and that's why I'm not a big fan of Russia or China creating their own investment group because, good intentions and lots of money to develop things turn into pet projects and absolute evil cronyism. And that's what's happening here, but there's a larger agenda that ZBIGNIEW BRZEZINSKI exemplifies, and that is, going after Russia, breaking down that strategic partner. I think that, ultimately what we're seeing is this X factor, which is Germany, the German economy, Europe. Not really excited or that enthused about fighting. I mean, we're not hearing anything from Ukraine. We're hearing some condemnation. We're hearing some sanctions. Of course, some new ones were laid out this week. And, of course, Vladimir Putin pretty much just kind of laughed these things off. I think the big takeaway is that this is going to hurt the dollar. I tell you why. Because this creates all sorts of new routes and the need to create new ways to invest in countries outside of the U.S., outside of the dollar, because of the sanctions. At this point, those are hurting us. Here's an example. Putin's giving a green light to the sale of S-400 missile systems to China. Okay, so we're talking about $1 billion plus missile system, something that they would love to have. EU states strike lucrative military contracts with China, overriding embargo report. So this also cites the fact that, China is the biggest player in all of this. And this is what we're not hearing. And these are the people that are not talking, are the Chinese government. Although they have given pretty much, I think, the moral appreciation, or they understand the situation. They appreciate what Russia is doing because they find themselves in the same predicament, because you have what's happening in the Philippines, what's happening with the Senkaku, islands. They have the West back, knocking on their back door through Japan and through other allies. I mean, just this week, against the Filipino Constitution, they have agreed to join in this big arms contract and putting boots on the ground in the Philippines, once again, with the United States. So the U.S. is, making quite a footprint as well. So I think we ultimately the alt media focuses more on the strong hand of Russia, but the U.S. and John Kerry and the like are playing ball as well, especially.
The alt media does? You mean the establishment media?
No, I think that the alt media is more in favor of what's happening. I mean, they see the obvious lies that are coming out of the U.S. media, and thus they would be more on board with what Putin is saying. I mean, I agree with Putin. He's the only one that's telling the truth. Like him, hate him, love him, whatever. He's the only one that's being honest about the situation in Ukraine. No one else is saying, hey, look, all the people that were there and the private contractors are American, and you got Joe Biden there. They're giving them billions of dollars. Right. And they just overthrew the government. Doesn't that seem like a pretty bad decision? I mean, it betrays common trust. It defies common sense.
No doubt about that.
So, I mean, that's where we're at today, how far it goes, whether, this is just going to be a great way, a convenient way to arm up and remilitarize the economy. I don't know. I mean, what's your take? I mean, when we talk about World War III, I think that it's a question of what do you define as that? It's kind of
well. First of all, and I said in the video, that I think I said in the video anyway that we are already in World War III. I mean, we are on how many nations around the world with our military? But
126.
How many hotspots around the world? All of them we're in, right? So we're globally we're already in a war. But the point is, and I've said it before. And I've been kind of, matter of fact, I got called an alarmist, I think, by RT, an alarmist for my thoughts on Ukraine. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Are you poking fun?
I just didn't. I haven't heard you be called an alarmist.
Yeah, okay.
By anybody besides myself.
Well, you can go ahead and continue to call because, look, this situation with Ukraine, it's worse than it was a week ago. It's worse than it was a month ago. It's worse than it was at the beginning, and it's going to continue to escalate tension, and it's going to become a very, very major story of 2014. And it very well could be a U.S. soldier. Let me make this clear. Let me make this crystal clear. We absolutely could be at a point in the very near future, as in tomorrow, where a U.S. soldier is catching a 7.62 by 39 round for his troubles in being in that region of the world because we're defending the freedom and democracy of Ukraine, and it's a freaking lie. Now, if that sounds alarmist, they probably, that's a good way to describe it because it's alarming, but it's also factual, right? We have the Polish prime minister the Polish defense minister, the day that the Geneva announcement was unleashed, right? The day of it, not the next, the very day, saying, well, we're happy to announce that U.S. is going to send a bunch of paratroopers over here. And now, Doug, as we talked about last week, they're there, boots on the ground. And guess what? You and I had a little debate about what is, posturing and what isn't. That ain't posturing, man. That is boots on the ground. And boots on the ground, inevitably, in a lot of cases throughout history, have ended up as boots being filled with dead soldiers on the ground. And to think that it can't happen because it's Russia and it's not a Middle Eastern or North African country, it's way wrong. I see this opportunity and I see this war gamed. Right, this just didn't happen. This you know it as well as I do. This was war gamed to death, and these IMFers and these big bankers. They want it because, as you just alluded to in your description of what's going on there, there's profit and loss in this, and there's more profit in death, and there's more profit in going in and destabilizing a country than there is letting true. I know people hate this word, but true democracy reign. And if you look at Ukraine, Crimea, and take it for what it's worth, you have a coup d'état that was committed by the United States and Western allies, we'll call it.
Sure.
By the West, a coup d'état that occurred, right? And the transition government, which is failing miserably. Why? Because they're a bunch of thugs, right? They are supposed to be the guys, our go-to guys, the good guys, right? Have they allowed one referendum, one election? Have they allowed demonstrations? Have they allowed free speech of any sort? The answer is simple. Nope. You can catch a bullet for your trouble if you happen to be in the free part of Ukraine. Now, say what you want about Russia and what they did in Crimea, but, I mean, at least there was a token referendum. where 90% of the people came out and 80% voted to jump ship. Now, I'm not naive, right?
Yeah.
But there's not even a talk of a referendum inside Ukraine right now. So, alarmist? Yeah, I'm alarmed. This could be very much end up with yet more American men and women, and certainly already too much has been spent, but more of our treasure being put to these nefarious uses, Doug Owen.
Blood and treasure, that's what it's all about, my friend. Blood and treasure.
You know what? I've got...
Indeed.
Ooh,
you know what? I've got one for you. Here's what you retort with. You say, well, look at this. The Pentagon's using environmental monitoring satellites to plan and shape warfare capabilities. So something that seems pretty benign, pretty innocent, is actually being used and being weaponized. The same thing for Voice of America. Something that seems that it would be promoting democracy, liberty, independence, the Bill of Rights is actually being used to set forward the neocon agenda for regime change for the Fortune 500 companies that make up the deep state.
Oh, my God. That is awesome, Owen. We're going to weaponize. That's what we're just... I mean, I think we could whittle that down. That was a little bit long, but it was beautiful. Weaponize the Voice of America.
They're weaponizing speech.
They're weaponizing speech. They're going to have the VOA come out and...
Financializing and weaponizing it. That's what you should say.
Well, and I think it's really telling that, Kerry's out and then bam, RT's out trying to counter that point. And that's why they're as the people say that don't like me going on there, that's what they say when I'm being duped into being on. I'm not being duped. I get it. I know the
You're part of the Putinist fantasy.
Daruki.
Putin's fantasy includes Charlie McGrath talking about the U.S. and some of the things they allege we do.
I'm apparently on the A team. Listen, here's the deal. I've got 12 minutes.
Some people believe that. And some people believe in the United States that we have a real choice between Democrats and Republicans. That's what I would retort. Oh, you don't have a choice in Crimea. You don't have much of a choice. This referendum is illegitimate. I think that in this country, our referendums, our votes are pretty illegitimate as well.
Completely illegitimate. Yeah, no, that's a good point. That's a really good point. That I guess who's the better dictator, right? I mean, you got our dictators telling us we got to vote, and most people believe it. So maybe they're just a little craftier in their dictation.
In Australia, you have to vote or you go to jail.
No way.
Yeah, you get fined. I don't know if you go to jail, but you get fined, and they shake their fist at you, and they kick you with a kangaroo. I heard that.
Not true. And they don't have square reels in
they do have square wheels in Canada. I have
what was
this
the date?
on...
What was the date of...
have this on good authority, Charlie McGrath.
Square wheels. I was just there, brother. You know that I would tell you if there were square wheels there. That's a big deal.
Do Dutch people really have wood shoes?
Listen, if you... yes, of course they do. Of course they do. They're below sea level. They need them. They got to... It's a life preserver.
Okay.
Use your head, man. Use your head. Listen, I'm going to wrap this up by giving the names of our donations of the week, but I want to again put out a shout out. Look, I've had 3 people contact me that from the video I did where I said, if you want to help us, help us. We'll use you. We will use your skills and talents to help expand the Doom. We will. So if you have a skill, and I don't care if it's taking and making bumper stickers and putting them on telephone poles around the country. I don't care. If you have something that you want to contribute, we want you to do. We want to edify your need to contribute. So, Doug at blacklistednews.com. You can subject it Help DoomCast, or you can go info at wideawakenews.com. Subject it Help DoomCast, and we will definitely look at what you got and be happy to have you join the DoomCast team. With that said, Doug, I do want to get into...
your own cape and superhero underwear. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be hard for somebody to out-doom good old Craig over there because he's...
can't be done.
It can't be done. A man is on fire. He's on fire. Hey, if you're listening to this at doomcast.com or at the Krabby Dog Tricks channel or wherever, then you've already seen the image, the Photoshop. That is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
The show. Oh, yeah, 39 episodes of talking shit. That is what has happened here.
That's what it is.
That is the moniker for the show. That's how I was going to start the show, but you started the show, and then I was thinking about
was it
the
your
hole
turn?
in your mouth. No. But sometimes we jump and we.
Wait a minute. Did you just say you were thinking about the hole in my mouth?
Yeah, the hole in your mouth. You gotta not the hole that hole. I'm talking about the hole where your tooth was.
Oh, gotcha. Now I'm with you now. All right.
Yeah.
I want to thank our good friend and winner, by the way, winner of the silver half-ounce round.
Have you sent it out?
I sent it out today. Yeah, and she knows that because I've been in correspondence with her.
Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah K. Sarah K. is she donated yet again to the program, Doug Owen. So this shows you she wasn't in this for the money. She's getting a $25 half-ounce round, Year of the Horse, but she just gave us $50. So she's awesome.
Awesome, yeah.
Big thank you. We have Michael B., who I love this donation. I love it. $17.76, $17.76.
What is that reference? I don't know what that. It's striking a chord with me.
I don't know either, but it's really sounding familiar to me. So
very.
He's Gig Harbor, Washington. And Sarah is in Lincoln, Nebraska, and I'm going to be down there pretty quick. So, this summer. So I'm going to hopefully be able to have a drink with Sarah and her hubby. And if I'm down there on a Wednesday, they might join us live on the DoomCast.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to give you one more here because we have one more. We have this is on what was the date of last week's DoomCast, Doug Owen?
A week ago. Let's see. I got a calendar here.
Yeah.
Might open 23rd.
Oh, the 23rd. Okay, so that is actually Michael B. That's it. You got him. You got Sarah and Michael B. And who else was in there? Is that it?
Well, one of the things we need is support.
I said 3, didn't I? Did I say 3?
I thought there were 3. 2's better than 1. 1's better than none.
None sucks.
Hey, if you want more content like this, one of the things that we'd like to do is be able to do this, but we have to be able to do it without corporate sponsors. We have to be able to know that we can do this and get the support that we put into it, really. I mean, lots of time, lots of effort, several hours today, picking through news, reading mindless things sometimes, like ZBIGNIEW BRZEZINSKI's plans and plots. So regardless of how well put together it may seem on that end, it does take a lot of time. I know that Charlie McGrath, he's working around the clock and around, seems like over the last few months, medical tragedy. So we've been doing it for 39 episodes. Looking forward to episode 40 that's coming your way.
My medical stuff, though, it's getting a lot better, Doug Owens.
I know. You're almost fixed.
I'm almost fixed. My lungs have been feeling, oh, man, no, wait, I'm not even going to say that. I'll end up in an ambulance tonight. I'm not even going to say that, so never mind. I got a hole in my tooth, a hole in my face, hole in my mouth.
Well, could be worse. Could be worse.
My name's Charlie McGrath. My website is WWIII.com. My cohort, my co-founder is Doug Owen. He is blacklistednews.com. Again, if you want to help us, if you want to support us financially, we love that. Go to DoomCast.com, click on the support. We absolutely need your help to keep this thing going. But if you want to help us with your skill, with your labor, hey, we want that too. Again, email Doug at blacklistednews.com. Charlie you can contact me at info@wideawakenews.com. Subject them both, help DoomCast, and we will absolutely be happy to use your skills. Doug Owen, I'll see you on 40.
All right, man. I'll be on with Bob Tuskin tonight on RBN at 10 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Oh, my God. Can you drop? I'm going to drop a DoomCast. Can you?
Yeah, absolutely. You drop a DoomCast, I'll drop a DoomCast.
I'm going to drop a Doom.
All right, drop some Doom on the RT listeners through the Putinist fantasy.
I love that. Drop some Doom.
Drop the Doom. You'll be like, oh, this is just a Putinist fantasy. Oh.
I love it. All right, brother. Talk to you later.
Man. Bye.